right, Lightseekers, welcome back. We are in our final match here at our championship game at PAX South 2018.
We're already well underway here. On the right, we've got Dratilis, who's made his way all the way to the finals. You know, back after a successful time at PAX Unplugged at our last event.
Yes.
And he's playing against Fatal Zeph, who's a brand new player playing Cassini.
This is a match that Dratilis has felt before.
Yeah.
I've seen the Astral deck.
It is a hurdle that he's eager to beat this time.
Yeah.
So we've got a Spirit Guide coming down on the left for Fatal Zeph, and a Pollen Weaver, a very common opener for Dratilis on the right.
I'd like to throw out that Fatal Zeph came in, I believe either yesterday or the day before, as a new player.
Yep.
Learned the game, he said, I'm going to come back and I'm going to win this thing.
And here he is in the semifinals.
He's in the finals.
Sorry, in the finals.
In
the
the
finals.
finals, yeah.
Yeah, he's already locked at least $500, and if he wins this, he doubles that to a full 1,000.
So,
More card draw here. Fatal Zeph is at the full 35 after a couple of Triano activations.
going in.
We're seeing a Shapeshifter. 5 damage coming through from Shapeshifter. Some of it being prevented by the Pollen Weaver, so Dratilis just going to 27. And there's a Dimensional Hunter,
He told me
2 more damage, and 2 defend cards. So the damage is going to get prevented by the Pollen Weaver, but 2 defend cards are going back to the deck.
Told me earlier that that is his favorite card in the deck.
That's fair. I am a big fan of that card as well. And he's getting the extra action because of the Shapeshifter being on the top of the discard pile there.
Good use of that. I saw
Certainly
a
is.
Tyrax Fixer go back into Dratilis' deck. I didn't see what the other card was.
Yeah, but giving away that he has some tech cards in there. I'm not even sure if his opponent's ever played against a cross-sorted deck before.
It's entirely possible he is not. It's certainly not one of this type of build.
It's a very refined deck that Dratilis is playing here today.
So, but not to, let's not, again, Fatal Zeph, proving by being in the finals, he's a very competent player. He's done very well piloting an Astral deck. It's very explosive. He's made some huge explosive plays today.
Yep, just drawing some more cards. And Dratilis using his usual Triano shenanigans.
All right,
drawing cards.
He's getting down the behemoth early. That's interesting.
I mean, I believe he's up to running 3 of them now in the deck, up from a former, I believe at one point he was running just 1.
He had 1 at one point, yeah, definitely. All right,
right.
Lunatic. Excellent card against the buff-heavy deck.
It certainly is. It's going to just keep shipping away. Not so great against Pollen Weaver.
Not so great against the Pollen Weaver, yeah. Pollen Weaver's going to pretty much just absorb that.
Certainly are. And I think we're going to start an activation of the Spirit Guide there.
Some cards here. Okay, going for the draw. Right off of Triano's ability. Got a second action. Shows. Nope, just goes for the draw again.
Loves drawing cards.
Yep, going over to Fatal Zeph. Once again, Fatal Zeph running Cassini, which allows him to discard a card.
Yep.
For 3 points of damage to his opponent, and also allows him to pick which card is on top of his deck. Very, very critical in an
Top of his
Astral
discard
deck.
pile.
Discard pile.
Yeah. There's a Sun Beacon. Some amount of damage being prevented by the Pollen Weaver.
Yes,
and then
sir.
the top card gets drawn and discarded and goes into the discard pile.
This is a little bit of damage there.
Yep. So that was a Yukona Tactician now on top of the discard pile, and an Astral Priest getting 6 damage in. No healing off that Sun Beacon because he's already at max health. Dratilis down to 21 though. Rapidly taking the beats.
Oh, we got a. There's the
Tantosian Blacksmith.
All
There's
right.
the Forge Wall.
His defense is getting built up here.
Yep. Classic Dratilis building his thick turtle shell with which he can lurk.
He's lurking.
And there's the Triano activation. More cards.
I thought it was Dread decks that lurked with the Night Lurker.
Oh no, trees can lurk too.
Trees can lurk. All right.
Yeah, trees can definitely lurk. I met a lurking tree.
It's a metal lurk. All right. You'll have to forgive Jacob. It's a little too much caffeine, a little less sleep at this point.
There's an emergency system coming down, enabled by access to the tech elements that are brought by Forge Wall, allowing mechanical cards to be played.
Bringing out the strengths of that cross-order build.
They certainly are. Emergency system allowing Dratilis to heal for 7 after just before the next attack card resolves from his opponent.
Once again, very effective against an attack strong deck, which is exactly what Fatal Zeph is playing. And again, to note that Dratilis has the ability to bring back buffs, not quite at will, but pretty darn close here.
Now, between the Root Singers and the Regrowths and the Life Imbues, he has cards for days.
As they say in the biz. All right.
Certainly do. All right. We're going to see the next move here from Fatal Zeph.
I think Fatal Zeph is starting to read this board and seeing what's starting to happen. I would imagine as an aggressive, explosive Astral player, I would not like seeing what is happening across from me. I know he's feeling pretty good. He is running a black hole in there. He does have one of the strongest sources of buff removal in the game.
He definitely does.
In that one card, at least.
And I don't believe that Dratillus is running the Spectral Web that was put to such good use by Bova earlier today.
I have not seen one.
Confident in his ability to rebuild after any buff removal. There's a Shapeshifter again.
So we're going into here.
We're getting a Gravity card for 5 healing. That is wasted while you're at full health.
However, it is buff removal.
Yep. It certainly is.
Once again, Astral, despite having the black hole that I was talking about with the damage up, now he's going to play it immediately.
Yep. 7 healing though for Dratillus. Luna card on top, removing Pollen Weaver and Hungry Behemoth.
That's a pretty strong hit right there.
It certainly is. I'm confident in Dratillus' ability to rebuild from that.
Dratillus does build very quickly. We'll see how he does here.
Now, do you think Dratillus is going to try and make
Right
this a
back into another
one-game
Pollen
final? Or like we saw in the semifinals, as it almost was?
Let's see what his strategy is. That's a good question.
The damage from Lunatic does trigger before Pollen Weaver enters play.
So that is one of those, if you're asking about Dratillus' play, that is one of those things that's kind of a metagame thing, right? It's playing the game that is just outside the game.
They're just having a quick discussion here.
So Lunatic firing.
Yeah.
Should. All right, so here we go. So, okay, so Dratillus is drawing cards. Looking at what else he's got. All right.
Alrighty.
He's drawing cards. The judges are checking with our players.
Yeah. It's all good. I think it's all been resolved. Everything's going fine. Just a quick clarification.
All right, Dratillus' board looking really empty.
More, just so much card draw happening here for Fatal Zeph. I feel like the roles have been reversed. He has more buffs. He has a bunch of cards. He's doing his best Dratillus impersonation.
Exactly. What do you think you are, Fatal Zeph? Nature? No. Sure, he's just
He's trying to disguise himself as a like, you know, he's seen the veterans. He's like, I can be one of these guys.
So, no, I'm sure he has a very specific purpose in mind.
So I'm sure
again,
he does.
Yeah, he's been playing very well, using his cards very well. I mean, obviously, again, he's here in the finals.
Definitely is.
He is.
It's really good when you see things like a veteran player coming up against a brand new player in the finals of such a big tournament, just like we had yesterday in the Seal tournament.
Again, one of the things about Lightseekers that's just been so wonderful to watch as the game's developing.
Yep.
It's just watching that the building in, of course, of veterans and the new players coming in.
Yep. There's that one with nature.
One with nature so early in the game.
It's a classic Dratillus move. One with nature, demoralize your opponent, break their will. You know.
The other thing too is like, normally I would question, if I didn't know his deck and his playstyle, I would question that early of a one with nature, just knowing that there is still removal in Fatal Zeph's deck. My guess is that he's going to play it with no worries, because he can play it here, and either if it's removed, it's drawing out some of that later removal for the game, and if it's not, it's just going to go to town and do its thing.
Just say, I don't think you can question play, Scott. You have to win some games first before you start allowed to make questions. So
I won a game once.
You won a game once?
Once,
oh,
yeah.
That's nice.
It was a good day. Good day.
Alrighty here. What's Fatal Zeph's response to that one with nature?
I think I'm curious to see what his card response is. Of course, mentally, I don't even want to hazard a guess, since we are going live here onto the internet.
Yep. All right. So we've got a Yakona Tactician for no healing, bought the extra action, and it changes the top card to a lunar symbol, which he is probably looking for this
buffs.
Pathfinder. What a genius sequence of plays. Very well done by Fatal Zeph there.
Yep. Very good use of getting rid of those two buffs again. I think Dratillus was expecting that, hoping to draw that out, clear his path for later on in the game. Again, Dratillus very much late game player, kind of just stalling out until he can get to that to try to draw out most of his opponent's damage and removal.
Yeah. So as I've said before, normally decks run about 3 buff removal cards. And then Dratillus has exactly 3 ways to play one with nature. But his opponent does have a black hole as sort of an extra out to Dratillus' one with nature.
But again, Dratillus also knows that's in there. He's probably playing expecting it.
Yep.
So,
alrighty.
So it's that checks and balances of the two decks and the play style.
Alrighty.
Ostrich Defender.
And a Stumpdrift Shaman. That's a very Dratillus turn. You know, if he had a signature move, damage prevention and healing would be it.
Very solid. Yep. It's almost as if his deck was built around that.
Yeah, I think you might be right.
You think? I got one.
There goes the Lunatic, finally used up. Dratilis down to 22. His opponent's still sitting on a, what I would call the most healthy life total, 35.
Fatal Zeph going into some card draw. Looks like he's drawing a combo there. Is that a fusion?
It looks like Stellar Fusion, yeah. It's going to be a big damage booster. And we have another Lunatic.
Lunatic.
He's come prepared for this buff-heavy field presented by Dratilis' nature deck. Dratilis, of course, can just start throwing down buffs with impunity due to his Master Edge Defender.
Which he is doing.
And there is a Pollen Weaver. Lunatic triggers. Should rotate here. Sure they'll catch that in just a second. Perhaps not.
All right. All right. So
Yep.
going back to Dratilis'.
4 healing from the Stumpdrift Shaman there.
Okay. And the heal. It looks like one of our other judges is coming over.
There's a Trianu activation there, followed by Titosian Blacksmith to grab the Grim Glider out of the deck.
Glider. Okay. Judges checking in there. I think they're going to.
Just make sure that Lunatic gets rotated
bring that,
correctly.
Yeah, should have one rotation on it.
Yep, after the Pollen Weaver play.
There
Yep.
it is.
Perfect, all good,
Excellent
all
job,
good.
judging staff.
These officials are on point.
Yep. All right. Hungry Behemoth.
Yep, that's a good one. Lunatic again rotating. Not missing it this time.
Bouncing right into that Monster Edge Defender.
Yep. And the Pollen Weaver as well.
Yes.
Monster Edge Defender, big tree guy with a shield. Pollen Weaver with his pollens that he's weaved.
Giving lunatics their allergies.
Yeah. Oh no, he's raving mad. Oh, look, there goes another Pathfinder. He's firing off his buff removal very quickly. That's 3 Pathfinders played. Dratilis is going to be feeling pretty comfortable to start running out some more of his buffs now.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, he knows.
Nice to meet you.
Alright.
Nice to meet you.
Alrighty here. Dratilis deliberating.
I think he knows the maximum amount of removal possible in this deck.
Do you think he's worried at all about his opponent running Chimchu Infiltrator, which allows you to rebuy the Pathfinders? Or does he feel that maybe there's a new player might not have had access to those rares?
That's a good question.
How deep do you think Dratilis is reading into his opponent's strategies?
Well, he's a much deeper thinker than I am. I mean,
Possibly?
That's a given. That's very possible. I think that's a given.
Okay.
But I'm definitely, right in his shoes. I would definitely be playing into that buff removal, knowing very confidently that I can get the buffs back that I want.
Yeah.
He's cleared out some primary targets, but like the ones in nature, but he knows he can get that back. So he's.
So on 27 now after that Lunatic trigger and Stumpdrift Shaman trigger.
And again, Fatal Zeph, I don't think yet realizing how much recursion
Well,
screen deck can provide.
Dratilis hasn't actually revealed his hand on that at all.
Yes.
Okay, we're seeing a Light Lasher here, so that's 3 points of damage, and because the gravity card is on top of the discard pile, that Lunatic is going to get an extra tick.
All right, so he's just going to. It's a lunatic tick.
It is a Lunatic tick. I was waiting for it. I'm so glad you picked up on that.
Slow. That Dr. Pepper's slowly kicking in there.
Yep, so back up to 26 for Dratilis there after the Stumpdrift Shaman trigger. Insect Swarm.
Insect Swarm.
Start pinging away with some damage.
Speaking of ticking.
And a Root Singer. Now he has more buffs. Is willing to bring back 2 cards.
Yeah.
2 damage, of course, from the Insect Swarm being played. 24 life now for Dratilis.
Another Weaver.
We'll bring back one of the Pollen Weavers. And I'm imagining that maybe a Behemoth? I don't know. I'm not sure what I would pick here.
I think, I don't know. I'd probably go with more defensive.
Emergent Systems, more defensive plays.
Okay. I figured because he's got more Behemoth sitting in his deck.
He certainly does.
Then it's like maybe one in his hand there, so I wouldn't feel the need to bring one back right now.
Yeah.
Because again, the longer the game goes, it tends to favor Dratilis' deck. So he's probably happy to just kind of sit back and let it ride.
Alrighty.
So, Insect Swarm.
Insect Swarm just sits there, and the insects, they swarm.
It's one of those cards that has a tendency, because it's 1 damage, so you think, oh, okay, it's 1 damage, but over a course of a game like this, it does so much.
Yeah. I mean, if Insect Swarm is out for 14 turns, that's a time collapse.
This is time collapse,
Yeah.
and I have seen it sit there that long.
Yeah. Have you ever been in the situation where You had so many insects that you caused time itself to break.
That's what happens here.
Yeah. All right, so the Pollen Weaver is ticking away the last lunatic trigger, Dratalis down to 18, but an emergency system's in play following that up. Means he's feeling pretty safe with his life total there.
Definitely, he's got his items in place. He's got most of his primary defensive buffs in place.
Certainly does. Couple of cards drawn there, just a pass turn. All right, Insect Swarm triggers.
Yep.
Grim Glider should have triggered there as well before the buff got removed, but looks like that's been missed. Back up to health with Trianu, so like I said, not a huge deal with that Grim Glider. And a Hungry Behemoth.
There it is for the drew it out there. Yeah, once again, a wash on that. Just because of the nature of Trianu's healing.
Yeah, just drawing cards, turn after turn, Fatal Zeph. Fatal Zeph's deck is looking quite thin.
Very thin.
Which is weird, because normally that's something I expect more from Dratalis.
Yeah, definitely. Looks like he was explaining a little bit about what the Behemoth does there. Yep, uses the Behemoth.
2 points of damage. Down to 31.
Interesting, he just poked at him instead of rotating it.
Yep, so 31 life for Fatal Zeph against Dratilis' 18.
I would have thought that he would have started healing there. I know he really hates to dip below out of the green numbers there.
He's still in the very light green there, sort of like an autumn green.
Autumn green. Yeah. I mean, he's doing fine, perfectly fine, but I just know he likes to stay up in that higher health range whenever possible.
Remember that he has sort of a pseudo extra 7 health added on.
Also true, yeah. Perhaps he's trying to maximize a bit of the anticipating an attack of some kind and just going to be able to get the full health.
That's fair, that's fair. You don't want to go too high on health when the emergency system's out, otherwise some of it will be wasted.
That's true. So once again, thinking a little deeper than I do.
Yeah, of course, of course.
Hence he's sitting at that table and I'm sitting at this table.
That is a choice that you made.
So, and a very good one. I'm actually very happy to be at this table and watching these games. So.
Yeah, so there's the Observatory coming down. And Insect Swarm and Grim Glider getting in the pokes for damage. Hungry Behemoth poking in for 2 more. Dratilis seems like he's actually trying to close this game out. Obviously, he's done with drawing cards at this point.
Yeah,
normally he doesn't start doing damage until he's confident that he doesn't need to use Trianu's ability much anymore, and that's what we're seeing now.
I notice he hasn't brought out that. He hasn't brought his one nature out again. I think he's still he's playing, kind of poking at him. I think he's still anticipating more removal.
He's waiting for that black hole.
Definitely.
He's biding his time on a black hole.
Yeah.
Once you enter the gravitational pull of that black hole, you're not getting out.
Time itself seems to distort and sometimes collapse.
Yeah, in much the same way that 14 insect swarms cause a similar effect.
All right, Chimchu, right? What do we got here? Playing attack card. Oh, he went to remove both of the emergency systems, but explaining how the first one triggers there. So good judge.
Yep.
Good job, Judge Crew.
That is correct. So 25
also,
life now for Dratilis.
Also showing that even our veteran players are still learning as well. So Chimchu Infiltrator, that's one of the, in my opinion, one of the better card draw cards in the game.
Yeah.
That's the one I'm thinking it is.
You got back a Pathfinder with that.
Oh, excellent.
Yeah,
excellent.
so we got more buff removal.
Right.
Only one of those trigger, right?
So, again, with the emergency systems trigger on an attack card, however they trigger left to right, so the furthest left emergency system caught that first one, and the second one will remain on the field. Dratalis probably not too stoked about Fatal Zeph getting that removal back again, but he is anticipating it very clearly in his play by not bringing out all his heaviest guns and still being able to rebuild quite well.
Yeah. Just poking in for more damage. 23 life now for Fatal Zeph.
He's just kind of whittling him down.
And a Colossi artifact.
So,
Checking himself for any more big hits in the future.
I wonder if at this point it looks like Dratalis is almost just going for the whittle. He's just going to hit him a little bit, just waiting for that big removal.
Yeah, I imagine that's going to be the play.
And figuring if it never comes out, that he can just whittle his opponent to death.
I mean, yeah, but it's a win-win for Dratilis, this play.
So he just has to be very patient with it. And that's something he's proven to be very good at.
Yeah.
All right, Solar Fusion going into discard. Fatal Zeph looking over Dratilis' field, getting a full understanding, a better understanding of what all the buffs are doing.
And there's a Pathfinder
And what he
coming in
wants to
to snipe away a couple of cards. Emergency system is going to trigger. 7 more healing, back up to 30.
And now, what is Fatal Zeph going to choose? He's going to get rid of the. Okay, he doesn't want that
artifact?
redemption.
And
He's thinking.
now remember, the Pollen Weaver currently is turned off. Stratilis is now back above Fatal Zeph's life. And he's going for the Behemoth. Probably a good choice.
Going for the damage.
Yep.
All right.
But we can see that Root Singer just sitting on top of Stratilis' hand. He's quite happy with that.
Really a bunch of hard choices.
Definitely is.
For Fatal Zeph in that point. 'Cause, yeah, there's nothing on that field that you want sitting across from you.
It's definitely true. Insect Swarm pinging in for 1 damage. 22 life now for Fatal Zeph. We're just having a think about what's his discard, getting ready to play off that
Thinking
Root
about
Singer.
Grab something else back. There was that one with nature sitting quite cozily in his discard pile.
Definitely is.
All right, Root Singer 4.
Hungry Behemoth?
Got the Behemoth right back. And decisions.
It's got to be another emergency systems.
There it goes.
And there it goes.
Emergency system treating Drutalis very well in this game.
Definitely.
Fatal Zeph.
And replaying the Behemoth as his second action.
Fatal Zeph looking a little frustrated with that.
That's gone. The Observatory has
Yeah.
collapsed in on itself.
Once again, Drutalis just really showing off that ability to be able to rebuild his field very quickly.
Certainly, yeah.
And if you're playing a color that says removal starved, as I like to say with Fatal Zeph, as the Astral deck is, that can be very frustrating on your side of the table.
Yep.
Again, that's not a knock on Astral. It's a very strong deck, very explosive, very powerful.
All right.
Drutalis is very familiar with it though, and is doing his best to play around it.
Certainly is. Alrighty.
Oh, he's eyeballing the combo. Is he playing the combo?
He's got the black hole there. Is he going to just fire off a black hole
I
here?
think he might just be tired of these buffs and want to get rid of them.
I've had it with these buffs
There's the
on
black
this
hole.
field.
I'm going to punch it really hard and get rid of all your buffs. That's what Black Hole does.
Yep. So those 4 cards are going to get shuffled back into the deck, using quite a big overpayment there.
He just wants them gone.
Yep. And gone they are.
All right. And I think that might be Drutilis' only time I've ever seen him happy to have a Black Hole played on him. I think he's been waiting for that.
Certainly, he feels like he's in the clear now. You know, there's no more sort of like terrifying astrological events that can affect him. You know.
Let's see, how many Pathfinders have we seen so far?
3, 4 actually, with the
But
Chim Chim
one came
Infiltrator.
back out. So are they all in the, does he still have one in the deck? No.
All the Pathfinders are in the discard. The Black Hole's in the discard. Drutilis has now got sort of free reign on the rest of the game.
I'm gonna
There's
expect
that Root
it.
Singer
There
coming
he
back.
goes. All right, so here he goes.
One
He's gonna
and
start bringing
two.
things back out.
Yep. Emergency system means that Drutilis is still living large on 23 at the moment, but a virtual 30.
And Fatal Zeph just wondering if those buffs will ever go away.
Yeah, never. Never have they ever.
Yeah, just incredible recursive power in that deck.
Yep. Alrighty. What's Fatal Zeph's response to this going to be?
Well, he does have that combo sitting on top of his pile, so he has access to all the elements currently.
Yep. So there's an Astral Priest triggering the emergency system. So in total, Drutilis is going to go up 1 point of health.
You just gotta fire and get rid of that thing.
Yep. And now at this point, I would say that Fatal Zeph is probably running out of ways to kill Drutilis.
He's
Yeah,
dropped
there's
some very
there's
heavy
going to be a
bombs.
hard limit on how much damage is in Fatal Zeph's deck. Like I can see maybe a half a dozen cards left in his deck, plus 4 in hand.
Now, he does have Cassini, so even if a card is not a damaging card, he could turn it into 3 points of damage per turn.
That's true. That's true. So now both players are tied. Oh, sorry. Fatal Zeph has the lead on 22 versus Drutilis' 21.
Of course, again, in this matchup, the Cassini 3 damage basically negligible once Drutilis gets his defenses up.
Yeah, I'm sure Drutilis is happy to have Pollen Weaver here. Just 1 point behind on the life, but the damage prevention effect is turned back on.
That's all it takes.
That is definitely all it takes. All right, just drawing some cards. You know.
I think, yeah, it looks like Fatal Zeph is looking for his options,
Yep.
digging for his damage.
All right. What's Drutilis' play here? Do you just keep waiting this out, or do you start to try and finish things quickly? There's Monstrous Defender for some more defense. We haven't seen too many of those from Drutilis this game.
A whole
That's
lot.
normally his signature card.
Yeah, it's going to change from the poking game here. We'll see how he decides to use that Behemoth.
Yep. So there's a Flying Fortress from Fatal Zeph. So whenever he draws a defend card, he may reveal it to deal the rotation value and damage to his opponent.
All right, that's the Drutilis. Buffs rotate.
Yep. Draws a card, draws another card, and his turn is over. Fatal Zeph just checking the number of cards left in his deck there.
Checking on a real question there with our judge. Seeing what happens.
Yeah.
Sounds like he's probably definitely investigating his options and checking with the judge to see if they work the way he wants them to.
Yep. Might also just be checking what happens when we run out of cards.
Again, one of those questions that as a new player.
It does work a little bit differently from a lot of TCGs.
Yes. So again, new rules coming into a new game. Could catch you a little bit off guard, but once again, yeah, even if you deck out, if you have no cards left in your deck that you can draw, you are not out of the game.
So long as you can keep playing cards in your hand each turn, as long as you play a card, you're fine. If you don't, you have to either sacrifice a card you have in play or a card from your hand. And once you're out of all the cards in your hand and all the cards in play and all the cards in your deck, then you lose the game.
So basically, this game really allows you to do pretty much everything you want to do and can do with your deck, which is actually pretty cool.
Certainly is.
But at that point, of course, if you have nothing else to do,
Either
way you're done.
A lot of card drawing in this game. No maximum hand size. You can draw multiple cards per turn just with regular actions, and you're not punished for running out of cards in your deck. In fact, there are certain decks that actually thrive on having no cards in the deck.
We saw Granite earlier today, Mountain Hero, that all his damage is increased once you are out of cards.
I believe it's increased by 5 as well, which is a huge, massive hit.
Yeah.
But you have to run out of cards.
So he is tricky, as we saw earlier to play, though, as well. You got to try to ride that balance between surviving long enough to get those cards out of your deck.
Yeah.
But when you do, the haymakers come hard and heavy.
They certainly do.
All right.
Fatal Zeph just checking a few more rules. Remembering both players here playing for quite a decent prize. There's going to be $1,500 in cash split between the two of them.
So that's a lot on their minds, I'm sure, in that regard. I'd have a hard time focusing on the game with that kind of dollar sign hanging in front of my eyes.
Lucky you're not playing. Alrighty. No cards left in deck for Fatal Zeph here. Just quickly checking a rule.
I think maybe even more than the grand, we've got the glory of being the Lightseekers champion here at our second official tournament here
Certainly
at Pack
are.
South. Yeah.
Players waiting for the official to come back with the rule call.
Yep. They're asking. So,
Does he have to do any more than just draw one card and pass it in? He's out of deck. He only had one card where he
Checking.
didn't want to do. What? I printed out a rule. Do you have it? I don't.
yeah, so they're questioning, the question is what's happening here with the card draw. So, or the lack of cards to draw in Fatal Zeph's case. Once again, he is not out of the game by having no cards to draw. As long as he has a card he can play, and as long as there are buffs he can or discard from his hand, or buffs removed from play. So he is still in the game. He will just not be doing any more card draw for the remaining of it. Of course, playing a combo could also change that, because the cards will shuffle back in, the payment cards, refreshing that deck a bit. So we'll see. I think he's just kind of weighing his options and wondering what that does, whether he wants to combo his stuff back in, or if he wants to just play a simple card. He's just trying to figure out the best way he can play this situation right now. So our judges are back. Play is resuming. We've got a Vine Lash on the table.
Yep. Paid for just there, shuffling back into the deck. So now we're at the point where the empty deck check happens. So at the end of each turn, if no card has left Fatal Zeph's hand and been played, he has to sacrifice a card or discard a card. So as we saw there, he did just lose his Flying Fortress to that empty deck effect.
I have to wonder, again, with Fatal Zeph being such a new player, I know he's running Mirror Beast in his hand, and that card has a specific ruling that I'm not sure if he's aware of yet at this time.
Yeah.
So Mirror Beast, it's an attack card. You do 3 damage to your opponent, and if the the top card of your deck is...
The top card of your discard pile
Of
is
discard.
Gravity, I believe.
it's going to come back to your hand.
Yep.
However, that does not count against the action per turn at the end of once you're out of cards.
Yeah.
So the card has to stay in play or go...
Has to leave your hand.
Yes.
So because Mirror Beast ends back in your hand, it hasn't left your hand.
So yeah, that was the word I was looking for there.
Yep.
So I'm not sure. That may come into play here.
Yep.
We'll see what he chooses to do.
Alrighty, but we know that next turn, Dratellis does have the win with the Vine Lash Mimicking Horror 28 damage combo. And we're seeing it
there
now.
is.
So we're going to be moving on to game 2. Dratilis having taken the first game.
Big hit.
But a very sort of long, grindy game. Maybe a sort of game that Fatal Zeph wouldn't have been used to playing today.
Unexpected, no. Yeah, certainly not. That was very much worked into Dratilis' late game strategy.
Yeah.
Very much starting to favor him in the end. So the longer we go, the longer it, the more it favors him.
Yeah,
so.
certainly. As we saw just there, he got to finish with his big finisher, the Vine Lash Mimicking R. That is a difference to his deck that we saw in the last packs. He's added that shadow for the quick kill.
So once again, the school of Dratilis dishing out an education to the younger player who is going to recover. I mean, he's learned, he's been very adapted. Like I said, he's brand new to the game, and he has done marvelously well, coming in showing a great performance. Beating out some of our more experienced players throughout the course of the day too. So again, we're not going to discount Fatal Zeph here.
I did have a quick chat with Fatal Zeph just before he went into this final, and he was very excited to have made it this far. He's very happy. So I don't think the result here is going to necessarily have any impact on the way he's enjoyed his day. I mean, he'll be a bit happier if he wins.
Well, of course, a little extra frosting on that cake, but still.
So Dratilis going second here has Tantosian Blacksmith off the bat, which I know he's got to be happy about. Can immediately get his item into play. But we'll see Fatal Zeph's first turn here. We've got a Spirit Guide, replaces itself with a card immediately, still in action to go.
So he's going for that card draw. He does like his card draw.
Yep, and a Lunatic, which is a card we saw him play a lot last game.
Yep, excellent early game against Dratilis.
Well, that's not a forgeable Dratilis, that's an emergency system. There you go, he's found it.
Just eyeballing orange.
It has been a long day, a long weekend for a lot of these players.
Yeah. I know he was also very late playtesting last night.
He certainly was. And in the end, he went with this day. I know he had a few new decks he was thinking of trying, but he went with the sort of Ye Old Faithful in the form of his Triano deck from last patch.
Tried and true.
Yep. So the Lunatic triggered there and brought him down to 28 off playing the Pollen Weaver. Spirit Guide activation here from Fatal Zeph to add a couple more cards to hand. More options is always good.
It's like a Dimensional Hunter. I can't quite see what else is in there.
If he's got Dimensional Hunter, how can he lose? Favorite card in the game for Fatal Zeph. All right, just drawing another card to end his turn.
Zeph has definitely learned he needs to be able to use his removal very carefully, very wisely, and time his pushes.
Yep, so maybe we'll see some changes in the way he uses his Pathfinder's Black Hole this game, now that he's seen a few more of the things that Dratilis can do. So Dratilis there has activated Trianu. His opponent's now at the full 35, and he got a Tantosian Blacksmith. So he's going to grab out the Grim Glider. And we still have an action left to spend here for Dratilis. That goes into play, Dratilis, not into your discard pile. I'm not sure what he's done with his Grim Glider there. He's on. We're on it. And a Stumped Shaman for a point of healing. Dratilis back up to
more tired than I realized.
28. Yeah. 29, sorry, Dratilis. 29. Yep. There's a rotation on the Lunatic, absorbed by the Pollen Weaver. That's how I calm down raving lunatics, is I just pollen weave.
Pollen, lull them to sleep.
Exactly. Alrighty here.
So that's another thing again. There is really truly the game outside of the game. Both the players, have learned the game really well by this point.
Yeah.
But there was things like, fatigue is a legitimate thing. It's been, again, a long day of play. They've been playing this game.
Maybe hunger is also a factor.
Hunger
the food at the convention is not always the greatest. But
you didn't hear that, Pax.
Yeah, it's okay.
We are in San Antonio, home of some of the most fantastic tacos.
Oh, dinner's going to be great. I think the celebration dinners for both these players are going to be excellent. So Dratilis up to 31 with the Stumped Shaman trigger there, and drawing a couple more cards. His Triano is at no cost at the moment.
Yeah, I'm really enjoying watching Fatal Zeph, seeing how he's changing his approach, knowing what that deck does. I know he really doesn't like Vine Lash.
I'm sure he doesn't.
But do you save your removal for the Vine Lash, knowing that everything else is just going to absolutely stop your game?
It's very tough. So the real strength of Dratilis' deck here, Dratilis himself is a very skilled player, but he's an even more skilled deck builder. His card that he's just played is Anti-Gravity Field. There's this combo coming down here. It's going to be a large amount of damage. It's like Anti-Gravity Snail has a much larger, brother sort of thing here. It does a lot more damage, but with a similar type of effect. Drawing a card, if it's not gravity, does more damage.
And those of you who may have watched our coverage of PAX Unplugged, that is actually my personal favorite foil in the entire game.
It does look very pretty.
All right, effective usage of the card.
Yep.
Okay, so that is going to bring Dratilis down to a 19.
But
and
a Stumpter
heal immediately.
Yep, back up to 23. Dratilis, it's very hard to keep that life total down.
Just his resiliency is just mind-blowing, honestly, to watch. I think, imagine probably doubly so sitting across the table from him.
Yep. All right. Lunatic rotates, but it's prevented. Stumpter Shaman healing up to 24 for Dratilis. That Forge Wall also prevents damage as long as Dratilis is on less than 15 life, but it's just not come up at all.
Not really, yeah, at this point in the game.
Alrighty.
Yeah, again, just one of the many thousands of cuts that, I guess this prevents a cut, technically speaking, but again, just one of those little things, nickel and diming, really just kind of taxing your opponent just here and there with things.
That is the Dratilis way.
And it really is a devil of a choice for the opponent, because it's like, do you get rid of the things that are nickel and diming you, or do you save that for the things that are really going to hurt you? So it's a real question. And it is a tough choice, because the nickel and diming will kill you, but the big hits obviously will kill you as well. So.
Yeah, so it's tough to hit all axes. And there's another Lunatic coming down. Unfortunately, the triggers don't combine, so each trigger of 2 will get absorbed by the Pollen Weaver.
Again, Pollen Weaver just an MVP.
It certainly is. And there's an Astral Priest, so 4 damage going to sneak its way through. Dratilis down to 22.
Coming right back again with that
4
Stumpter
healing,
Shaman.
back up to 26. Alrighty.
Like I said, I think he's allergic to dropping out of the green zone.
He certainly is, you know. Nature is green. Stay on the green.
Looking at some cards, looks like there's a bit of discussion going on there. Okay,
Emergency system.
coming into play. We'll trigger and rotate.
The damage should get absorbed by Pollen Weaver.
Let me see. 7.
So Dratilis should be on 27 still? Not sure exactly what just happened there.
He took the damage in the judges.
Astral
once again
Priest,
rushing over.
4 damage slipping through, but healing up to 7 first, so ending up to going up 3. Up 7, down 4.
And
fine.
the judge will step in and probably.
Sort out the Lunatic situation before. Alright, just having a quick chat about the earlier Lunatic play, but I think it's all confirmed, all good. Alright.
Looks like it's been enough turns. They're just going to let it go. At
Yes.
This point.
So 28 life currently for Dratilis. Still quite healthy. You know, not in any fear of being rushed down. I doubt his opponent's running Vine Lash mimicking horror.
Probably not. Unless he did some serious sideboarding that we didn't see. Alright. So
Alrighty.
Dratilis digging a little deeper into his deck there.
Couple more cards for Dratilis.
Once again, showing that rainbow of color he's got running in his deck.
Yep. A full half of the orders available in the game being represented in his deck.
Pretty
4 out of the
impressive.
6 in these 2 decks.
Yeah,
Be funny if it was like an Astral Storm mountain deck. And you could have all 6.
orders represented.
Yeah.
That is something I'm excited for. Like I know PlayFusion is gearing up and preparing things for these to be a storyline tournaments.
Yeah.
And for those of you that aren't familiar with storyline tournaments,
Yeah, it's fine. Just a free rotation on the Lunatic. Pollen
So,
Weaver eating that up.
storyline tournaments are something where the player base actually determines what's happening in the world of Tantos. It affects the lore and the storyline. So
Yeah. The world of Tentos being the world in which Lightseekers is set.
yeah, so I'm very excited for that. People will be able to register with an order, kind of pick your favorite, and every time you play, you represent that.
Yeah.
And the factions that win the votes or whatever event it might be at that particular point, they get a little extra story. They might get a few extra promo perks and stuff like that for
Yeah.
their heroes. So very
Alrighty.
exciting stuff like that.
So I think Fatal Zeph considering a play here.
Once again, running a fairly, not a huge hand, but a bigger hand.
There's a Light Lasher. Sneaking in for very little damage after that emergency system resolves. Just 1 point. But if your last card, I don't think the last card trigger happened there, so. Everything is all good there.
Yep,
More
taking a
Triano
draw.
activations. Dratalis just stacking that hand. Notable, his opponent hasn't really played any buff removal. Both players have played very few cards based versus the number of cards they've drawn. Like Dratalis has like well over half his total deck in his hand right now.
A pretty big hand size, yeah. I think it almost feels like they're waiting for each other to just kind of move first, right? I think Fatal Zeph is waiting for those buffs to come down so we can kind of clean them out.
Certainly is.
And Dratalis is
Just happy to keep picking up cards. He is in no hurry.
once again, the longer the game pushes, it tends to lean in favor more and more of Dratalis.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, Fatal Zeph's hand is getting pretty big, and we know that that deck can deliver some massive, massive explosions.
I know the time is ticking down. I imagine the players have like a little over 5 minutes left in the round at this point.
We're pretty close. All right, so once again, the time becomes a factor.
So I was probably looking to start closing things out.
So keeping that in mind, then, you're sitting in his chair. What's your strategy at this point between him?
The Astro player. So yeah, it looks like Fatal Zeph deployed another Spirit Guide there for more card draw.
He's going to get some card draw.
Still probably not keeping up with Dratalis' insane Triano card draw. What's my strategy here is Dratalis, or my strategy here is Fatal Zeph?
Yes. What do you think for both?
What do I think of both? Okay.
Yeah.
I guess
Let's
if
get some
I'm
analysis here.
Fatal Zeph, I'm waiting on my removal to hit the high priority cards. I'm not committing anything here because I'm not in threat of anything here. So I'm happy to just keep biding my time. I'm not sure that I'm unfavored in the long game against Dratalis.
Okay.
As Dratalis, on the other hand, I'm also going to just wait out my opponent's removal. I'm up a game already. You know, I'm confident that I can end this game potentially on a high left roll. I only need to poke in a couple of times, and my defenses are going to hold strong enough for me to stay high. It's just a matter of like, when does a player decide to turn the corner in the match and become the aggressor?
I'm kind of curious why he hasn't put down more buffs yet. Only for that reason we were talking about that choice of the
Playing around
the
black
little
hole?
slices. Playing around black hole, right? So
Big
you're
thing.
getting those little tiny digs.
Yeah.
Like insect swarms and stuff, or we're going for the bigger one, and either one's going to start drawing out that removal.
There's the
That's an
insect swarm, just as we were suggesting. So imagine he's going to start chipping away. He's on 33 now. He's not that far behind. If time gets called, there's a good chance Dratalis just takes this away.
Yeah, he definitely can heal that up quite easily.
His opponent's deck, we haven't seen a ton of healing from. I know there's a couple of Yukona Tacticians in there. There's some Sun Beacons, but that might be the sort of the upper limit on how much healing he can pull off.
Yeah,
I know
there
that
is.
almost all of his buffs are heavily damage oriented. There's an anti-gravity field in there. There's a black hole. There's a planetary alignment. There's a stellar fusion. I'm not seeing a ton of healing in the deck.
Again, and Astral does heal, but it is not the strongest healing color.
What is the strongest healing order?
Myself, my opinion.
You're the strongest healing order. Myself.
Me, I am the strong. No, I mean, I usually think of nature in that sense, but we might have different experience.
I mean, I would say Tech has two of the greatest healing cards in the game between Tyrax, Fixer, and Emergency Systems.
Emergency systems, yeah, that's true. Very
They've
strong
also got a
Tyrax
few
fixer.
small healing things over time as well. Cards like the Heat give you incremental healing.
Does have Nitro heal in it as well.
Nitro Heal, big, massive heal combo. You know, it's quite a good healer. But then in Storm, you also have access to Delivery Crab, Heroic Starfish, Vitalizing Frog. There's a lot of healing in a lot of orders. I'm not sure I'm happy to just call one the best, Scott. It's an interesting choice to make there.
Yes, go.
Oh, fine. Be that way.
Alrighty.
So, the crew is kind of laughing at me around here, but you know what? Fine. I'm just going to stick with it. Nature. Nature's the best healing color, period.
Okay, hold
All
on.
right, that's
So
been-
Hungry
that's been
Behemoth,
stated.
Hungry Behemoth down for Dratilis now.
Hungry Behemoth. That's a perfect example of it. It can heal or damage. See the options of green or
Well
else.
done.
All right. Okay.
All right, so I think you're taking this. I think you're taking this a little bit more personally than you need to.
But Dratilis is getting that going there. He's getting his damage flickering down there.
Yeah.
Behemoth hit the table so hard that our cameras kind of flickered back and forth there. Crew's
Yeah.
too busy laughing at me still in order to do their job properly, but that's okay. We still love them anyways.
Alrighty. So Dratilis now starting to definitely close down that gap
Yep.
between him and his opponent. We got Grim Glider starting to trigger. We have Insect Swarm triggering, and we have Hungry Behemoth triggering.
Yeah, I think he's reached the decision where he is going to just start hitting with the damage and saying, okay, you either got to remove this or you're going to die.
Spirit Guide activation here. More cards for Fatal Zeph.
I can't imagine that he doesn't have any removal in that hand.
And a Shapeshifter. I'm not sure exactly what the issue is here.
Just ditched it. I think it was.
I can only use one ability per turn, so he's tried to use a Cassini ability after using the ability on his Spirit Guide. Just getting that corrected real quick. Officials on point here.
Yeah, well done again.
Yep, just getting that explanation sorted out.
All right, so he's going to choose to play that shapeshifter. Going to draw into a combo. Planetary alignment. One of the harder hitting combos available. All right.
All right, Insect Swarm triggering for one.
Damage. Once again, sitting on a very large hand. Lots of options for Jatilis.
Yep, he's got the Regrowth, he's got the Vine Lash. Here's the Vine Lash.
Vine Lash.
Quite a
All
reasonable
right.
card. This goes back into the deck, gets drawn immediately for comboing. And I think he's happy to just keep using Vine Lash over and over and over here.
Potential to do that. He's definitely going to be drawing out some removal here, I would imagine.
Alrighty.
I mean, if I'm Fatal Zeph, I'm looking at that table like something's got to go.
Pathfinder, let's get rid of that. Let's get rid of the Behemoth as well.
That
Yeah,
seems like
some good
seems
choices.
like a good decision.
And then Regrowth says, say hello to Hungry Behemoth and Vine Lash.
Once again,
Shapeshifter getting discarded for 3 points of damage.
let's see
One of them
exactly
making it
what
through.
Vitalis chooses to do here in this play.
Insect Swarm down to 33 for his opponent.
So, again, last game we saw Fatal Zeph draw out his entire deck. And this turn we're seeing Jatilis draw out his deck. There's another Behemoth.
Yep.
Right back at you. It's the Behemoth that would not go away.
All right, there's a Stubborn Shaman, 1 point of
A
healing.
little bit of healing on there. So again, Jatilis has definitely played cards from his hand. So even
there's
though
an
he is
observatory.
There's an observatory. So yeah, so even though Jatilis has no cards, he is not going to suffer for lack of draw because he is still playing action cards.
As long as a card leaves his hand each turn, there is no downside having an empty deck.
Fatal Zeph just taking a draw. I see a black hole. in his
Insect
hand
Swarm.
there.
Stubborn Shaman, no Grimglide. Oh, the Grimglide did trigger there. So 31 life currently for Fatal Zeph. Down to 29 after the activation of Hungry Behemoth. Not a whole lot of defensive cards on Fatal Zeph's side of the field in either of these games.
Doesn't
There's
seem
a
like
Reckless
there's
Spirit, 3 damage.
figuring that out.
Yeah, just I think he's actually just playing for the damage there, which is odd because that's not normally something you say. I wonder if time has been called at this point and Jatilis is just trying to get the life totals to drop down.
They'll get to.
Okay. I believe there's actually just a couple of minutes left in the round. But he is definitely getting ready for that time to be called.
They definitely have to be aware of it. There's the black hole.
Probably good timing on that. Jatilis not super unhappy with that, I can't imagine. You know, he's not super worried. He has Life Imbue in hand. He has Regrowth in hand, and he still has a bunch of cards. Like, he's not out of this game by any means.
He has his pretty much his entire set of options available.
Do you think he regrowths the Vine Lash and something else here, or do you think he tries to run out his One with Nature, wait for that to get removed, and then brings back Vine Lash One with Nature?
Decisions, man.
Maybe a very cool line of play. Well, we're just seeing a
Okay,
Life
Life
Imbue.
Imbue, all right.
You know, that only does bring back 1 buff, so obviously he's happy to bring back Vine Lash here. I mean, I guess he could bring back a different buff. I'd just be very, very surprised if he did.
Sticking out his payment first here.
Yep. I mean, Spirit Channeler not doing a whole lot of work for him now.
Shuffled up. Put back into the deck. Gets his heal.
5 healing from Life Imbue.
All right, let's see what he decides to choose here. There's
Vine
a
Lash coming back.
Definitely a lash.
He's gonna have a lash at it. 32 life for Jatilis there.
Fatal Zeph knowing exactly what that card can do.
Pathfinder, let's just get that Vine Lash out of
Just
here.
let that thing
No
go.
time to risk. I believe that's the 3rd Pathfinder.
That sounds right.
Yep, and
And black hole,
1 black
so-
hole. So, but he has got a Chimchar Infiltrator. We did see that in game 1, so we might see that come back again.
Mirror Beast.
3 points of damage, back to hand. 29 life for Jatilis, and now he's facing down a steady clock of 3 damage a turn from that Mirror Beast, should his opponent choose.
All right. Jatilis actually still has plenty of defensive options in there.
There's a Colossus Artifact.
And right into a monster, do you think?
I wouldn't be surprised.
Looking at
And
it.
there's the Master
There it
Chief.
is.
He
All
loves
right.
this combination of cards. That
It's
is
like-
very good sequencing. It's a very
Great.
safe play.
Go
The
ahead.
most damage you can take from an action card is 1.
One currently. He said, bring on that Mirror Beast.
But his opponent does have a ton of combos left. So his opponent could just hit him with a massive combo, and Dratalis might not have the time to catch back up in this game.
Build that.
So I believe time is now being called, and they're explaining how many turns are left.
He still has that regrowth, I believe, yeah.
He does still have that regrowth.
All right, so be very careful play from Fatal Zeph and from Chalice here as we go into our rounds.
Yeah. Alrighty, let's see what happens.
Once again, the championship PAX South 2018 riding on the next few turns.
Yeah.
All right.
Fatal Zeph trying to work out what he wants to do here. We got a little timer ticking up there at dice.
Again, first place is going to walk away with $1,000. Second place is going to have $500. But I think cash prizes are nice, but there is that one-of-a-kind championship playmat.
Yeah, and that's a big deal. You
Only
know,
one in the entire world, and only one man is going to walk away with that today.
and that's a real prize because money's fleeting. You can spend
Money is
money, you
fleeting.
can
It's a
lose
one-
money, you can gamble money, but on the other hand, a playmat is forever.
They are pretty indestructible. All right. Dratalis comboing out here.
Yep, adding some more cards to his thin deck there.
It's a Sacred Aura, looks like.
Sacred Aura.
All right.
So a strong combo buff. Feeling safe to run out that combo buff in the face of no more, what he imagines is no more removal from his opponent.
While Fatal Zeph does have potential to bring some more back out, I think that's it seems like a safe play because either it's Sacred Aura is going to get to do its thing, or
Yeah.
if it gets removed again, it doesn't feel like too big of a loss to
That can always be
Dratalis at this
regrowth.
time.
You can regrowth 2 combo buffs.
Regrowth is still sitting there waiting to do its thing.
I believe Dratalis still has 2 turns remaining, so next turn he can regrowth Vine Lash, and then on his 3rd turn, the Vine Lash will fire off.
All right, so Fatal Zeph just looking to do as much damage as it possibly can.
Yep, so Colossus Artifact, reducing it to 4, Monstrous Defender, reducing it by 3, 1 damage sneaks through. Bunch of healing there. So Dratalis now on 27 to his opponent's 31. This is going to be a very close game at the end of these
Very
turns.
close to heals, yeah.
But that Sacred Aura is a big swing. It's an 8-point swing. It's 4 healing for you, 4 damage to your opponent.
Yeah.
That's the sort of thing that you really want at this point of the game.
That's perfect at this point in the game. And I think Dratalis, again, well played. He's looking at
He's looking to Reckless Spirit in his hand. I think he's just going to fire it off for 3 damage real fast.
just pop that thing out there. Yeah.
But even playing the Mimicking Horror on Sacred Aura, that's going to be in one turn a 16-point life swing.
That's a huge
2
swing.
triggers of Sacred Aura. That might be enough to just close out this game.
That might be
Anti-Gravity
plenty of
Snail.
points, yeah. All right, I
Does
think
it gonna hit a
Dratalis-
gravity card?
I think, yeah, Fatal Zeph is digging.
It does hit a gravity card. Only 2 points of damage off that one. Completely prevented by the Monstrous Defender. That is a
Fatal
real
Zeph is
shame.
digging for answers and he's not seeing them right now.
All right,
Dratalis-
4 damage, 4 healing.
Massive swing right there, especially at this point in this game in overtime.
Do you think you regrowth here? Do you regrowth this turn? You go to full 35 life. You get a chance for it to go, or you're just going to Reckless Spirit for 3 damage? That's your play? You do that too?
That's the play. There we go. There's the
Mimicking
Mimicking
Horror.
That's the
Yeah,
one I
that's
would
as we saw.
definitely-
Up to 35 for Dratalis, 20 for his opponent.
Wow, how many? that
I
is
don't think
just
his
a
opponent can
massive
do
swing.
15 points of damage in 1 turn.
Does he bring that back well?
Especially considering that Dratalis has another
That's the one.
Sacred Aura, and that's the game. There's the handshake.
There we go.
Very well done to Dratalis.
All right, congratulations, Dratalis.
Narrowly missed out on his chance at championship victory at PAX Unplugged, but has returned here today to
Strong
PAX
form,
South
yep.
2018 and is walking away a
So
champion.
once again, massive congratulations to Dratalis, walking away championship.
Yep,
This is something he's been working for, pushing towards for a long time.
yep. But massive congratulations to Fatal Zeph. He's been
no
playing the game
joke.
for 2 days. He just sat against probably the best player in our game currently. And you can't be
Arguably
sad
one of the
about
top,
that.
yeah.
You got to be happy. And he's walking away with a lot of cash.
So again, very good game by both players. Excellent day by both players.
Yeah.
And all players here we had today. We've seen some very exciting decks, some very exciting plays, lots of smiles, really.
Yeah.
I have to say, walking away from this. So once again, thank you for joining us here at PAX South 2018. We look forward to seeing you again down the road at our next event.
See you again soon.
Keep on seeking the light.